Booby's World right here on the Big Play Network. I'm Nick Padone. Where is Daniel Booby Gibson? Oh, here he is. It's Daniel Booby Gibson. What's going on, Booby? Where you
What's
at?
going on, my God, man? Hey, as you can see, in great spirits out here in LA. I just dropped my son off, so I just made it in time.
Look at that. Look at that. He's in full dad Booby mode. So I know you were kind of thinking too about like, were you going to be in LA for this game? Were you going to be in New Orleans for this game? Ultimately, you're in LA or for the show. I mean, you're in LA though, right?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. So for me, my son kind of lives this little rock star lifestyle per se, right? My lifestyle being the NBA, always being in Cleveland, Houston, LA. But the thing is, his mom, who's Keisha Cole, she's right now on tour, the Love is War tour. If y'all want to see that, it's gonna be in New Orleans today. And I don't know the extra dates, but they online. Get your tickets now.
It's coming to Cleveland. It is coming to Cleveland. So people here got to get the tickets.
Yeah, I think it already came, or I think it like got close, but I think it went to Detroit was the closest one. But we'll bring it to Cleveland. Don't you worry about that, Nick. Big Play gonna bring it to Cleveland. How about that?
Love it. Yeah. So I know, your life is crazy, her life is crazy, and then in consequence, his life is crazy.
And he's the one that like really is just a victim of circumstance and I feel bad at times because when I'm playing, I don't get the opportunity I miss events, and when she's on the road, she misses events. So right now, what I would say, just big ups to the Cavs on me having a scouting opportunity that allows me to now be more present in his life, that allows me an opportunity like this morning to take him to school, to show up on Big Play with the fans out there and talk some hoops in my Cleveland Cavaliers wine bathrobe. Let's say that, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, it's a great thing. I'm in a great position. We can talk hoops. I get to watch hoops and try to find these players. So right now, I'm in full dad mode, man. Every moment I can get with my son, he's actually, hey, Nick P, he's actually waking up in the morning and getting shots before school. So he turning into a demon on the basketball court too. So that just makes this thing that much more fun,
Absolutely. I remember those days well, when you're getting shots up before school, and then obviously, you normally got to practice after school, that's when things get serious with it. Booby, how is it for him? How is it for you? I know it's cool for you to be able to drive him to school now that you're back out there in LA. How is it for him? Is it kind of that rock star life when he gets to pull up with his dad who played in the league to school? I'm sure some of the girls are looking. Yeah.
Hey, look, DJ, he ain't gonna ever say nothing. He's the coolest kid you'll ever meet. But it gotta feel good because his mama pull up in a nice car, his dad pull up in a nice car, and even now, I'm pulling up and I'm helping at the school. So I told the coaching staff that, I'm going to get on the staff and help and put some plays in. Obviously, most of them for DJ. But I'm going to get some plays in and, help the team. So, yeah, for DJ, I think it's great for his confidence. It's great for him to walk around school, with his chest out and proud because, he got two parents. Not only are we in the industry, but we big-time parents, too. We present parents. We pulling up to school events and everything. So you might catch Booby Gibson and Keisha Cole just posted up at the Christmas play. That's just how we do it. If we available, we there.
Dude, when you said that you were gonna start helping out at the school, and then you said helping out with the basketball team, I thought you were gonna be like chaperoning field trips on the bus with these kids. That would be a sight to see.
And Will, Nick, I'm putting up in front of the line. I'm telling you, that's the type of dad I am, and I want DJ to feel that, man. And that be the tough part, though, about the league sometimes is I miss a lot of those moments. Yeah. So now it's like I'll be trying to make up. Like I'll be any opportunity I can get to go to the school or hang out a little longer. Papa Gib gonna do that. I'm gonna pull up and make that happen for my guy, man. So, I mean, even today at 1:30, I'm pulling up today and I'm gonna put the kids, it's like 12 boys. I'm gonna put them through some drills at school. So I got a full day ahead.
Love it. Full day ahead. He's had the espresso martini, folks. He's ready to go. It's Booby's World. I'm Nick Padone. He's Daniel Booby Gibson. And this is what we're going to do on the show as, you know, the Cavs are getting ready for this playoff run. We're excited about that. We're going to talk about that when we return on Booby's World. But this is kind of a look into what me and Booby might have in store for you come this offseason. You know, a little bit of life, a little bit of laughs, a little bit of love. Right, Booby?
Hey, listen, Nick, man, that's
there?
what it gotta be that way in Booby's world. It's one I talk hoops, yeah, but as you can see, I'm at the crib right now in my bathrobe. You feel me? With my Charlie Browns on. I don't know if you can see them. I'm in that mode, and I feel like if you tuned in to Booby's world, I want you to be in that mode too. So if you at the bar, take a shot. If you're at home, put your bathrobe on and get you a glass of wine. And just come chill and chop it up with your boy, man. We're going to change the vibes. We're going to make it a little bit of basketball, a little bit of that where everybody is welcome to come chill in Booby's world.
Absolutely. Very well said, Booby. On today's show, straight ahead, we're going to discuss the biggest headlines pertaining to our Cleveland Cavaliers. What is that? What are you holding up there?
A heart, man. You know, I'm always spreading the love, Nick. It's just I can't say it, so I gotta show it, baby.
All right, look at that. Look at that. There we go. We're going to discuss some of the biggest Cavs headlines. We'll get you guys updates from around the NBA. Then we're going Booby for 3, where we'll rank the top 3 biggest surprises from this NBA season. We're going to wrap things up going down memory lane with Booby as the playoffs. Playoffs are in the air, baby. Don't go anywhere. More Booby's World right after this. Welcome on back into Booby's World right here on the Big Play Network. I'm Nick Padone. He is Daniel Booby Gibson, and Booby's in a different spot out there in LA. I'm in a different studio here too, Ryan. We are in the typical Matt Fontana studio.
You look good,
here
though.
at
You
Big
look good.
Play. You
Nick,
like it? You like
good.
it? Yeah, I think we might have to do this when we're remote. Today there was a little bit of inconsideration, if you will. I rolled in and we were supposed to do the show at noon, Booby, and the other studio was occupied, as they say. So I was like, all right, listen, we'll adjust, we'll pivot.
The show must go on, man. And it's in Booby's world, we'll do the show whatever. And hey, they might need to know, Nick, that we got some special surprises for them come playoff time. You might find your boy posted up in the street, man. So if y'all got somewhere for me to stay, man, I might need a place to stay during the playoffs, man. Let Booby's world pull up and do the show from somebody else's house.
Okay, so this is what we're doing. We're giving away some news. So I think we got some things in the work with the show. Maybe doing a little watch party somewhere for your Cleveland Cavaliers. Maybe walking around the streets of Cleveland before a home game or two, Booby.
Yeah, if they see me, and if you see somebody that look like Booby in the street, because sometimes I walk and I pass and they'll see me and they'll be like, is that Booby? If you think it's Booby this time, baby. I'm outside, man, especially for the playoffs. I think that's why the juices is flowing so high right now, because it's just that time of year where you could tell every game matters. You watch every game on ESPN right now. Everybody's jockeying for position. Every game matters. So it's a great time to be a basketball fan and a Cavaliers fan mostly. You know what I mean?
It's a great time in Cleveland. I wish I was with you out there in the sunny LA, but the weather's coming around here, Booby. The weather's coming around. I think you're going to be greeted by some sunshine when you return for the playoffs, and talking about those playoffs and talking about these games that matter a lot as the Cavs are fighting for a position. Man, it was a tough, brutal West Coast trip for our Cleveland Cavaliers, but it's all right. They were able to come home. They were able to beat up on the Memphis Grizzlies, who were without 12 players. The Cavs in that game, Ryan, give me my camera on this one. The Cavs in that game against the Grizzlies, Booby, were 19-point favorites. And they were able to get it done. They didn't cover that spread, but they were able to get a big, much-needed win at home as they look to close this thing out on Friday against Indiana and then the season finale against Charlotte.
Yeah, I felt like last week we talked about how there was a panic or a bit of an uproar because we on the West Coast and the guys aren't giving us what we want. Like, they didn't feel like the Cavs was giving what it was supposed to give. And what did I say? Just be patient. Just allow these guys to work through what we call an NBA season and hope that at the right time, we work out these kinks and we start to play the type of basketball that we know we could play. And even last night, it's like last game, it's a microcosm, right? You see at the beginning of the game, we like, what are we doing? It's going to be a long night, right? But then as we work the game, I feel like even with Donovan, every possession, every play, I feel like he gets more confident in his body, gets more confident in taking bumps and making plays and drawing contact like he normally does. So each play, even Darius, from half to half, we saw shots not fall, shots fall. That's what we want to start working on. And the beauty of right now is we got home games. I saw that on the schedule. We had home games to finish up. So we get that Cavalier faithful giving us that energy and that mojo that always takes us to another level. And we use these 3 games as a prep to put us in that mode, that playoff mode to go where we want to go.
Yeah, let's talk about that. How important is that, and really how cool is it too that they get that home cooking 3 straight home games to end the season for our Cleveland Cavaliers? Booby, what's that like, especially if they find a way to secure up home court advantage in this Eastern Conference, because then you're starting the playoffs, at least games 1 and 2, right here in the friendly confines of Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. That bodes very well for the Cavs, am I right?
Absolutely, Nick. And that's the thing. I downplay a lot of things, and I'm always like, let's be cool. We're going to figure it out. But this is one thing I want. I want us to have home court advantage. I want us to have that Cavalier faithful where a team has to come in and take a game. I want us to have that under our belt. And it works in our favor that we are at home to make it happen. So I just think that even for myself, when I think back to my career going into the playoffs, we played the Atlanta Hawks. I wasn't supposed to, or I wasn't even that much in the rotation my rookie season, right? Yep. But against the Atlanta Hawks, obviously guys are out and guys are resting for the playoffs, so you let everybody play. I get out that game, I have a really, really good game, right? I catch a rhythm, a flow, shots start going in. Then when the playoffs start, boom, injury hit, and now it's my time to get on the floor. But I just had that 1 or 2 games that I probably wouldn't have played before to get my confidence going. So it might not be that important to some teams, but to some players, it's always important at the end of the season to be getting into that rhythm and to just be your most confident self as a player going into the playoffs. It matters. You just never know when your name will be called come that postseason.
And when we're looking at this thing right now, right, the Cavs were able to take a step in that right direction with that win over the Grizzlies, and albeit, pretty much a G League Grizzlies lineup since they were without 12 players. But Donovan Mitchell, that was the closest to back that we've seen Donovan Mitchell. 29 points, 8 assists, 4 rebounds in just 29 minutes. He took that mask off and he said that he's never putting it back on. Booby, in your playing days, I
couldn't do it.
Yeah, I don't remember you ever wearing a mask.
I couldn't do it. There was a moment in practice. I want to say Andy, of all people,
of course,
hit me with a major bow right to the chops, whatever, bloody. But as soon as they tried to put the mask on and I tried to practice in the mask, man, that thing fogs up and you'll get hit sometimes in the game. It messes with your peripheral sometimes. It's a different feeling. So some guys get used to it and fall in love with it. Rip Hamilton. He put that thing on and never took it off for the rest of his career. So everybody's different. But I will say, back to your point about what you said about the man Spider, I think what we saw happen was we're not worried about who we played against, but again, him just getting back into the flow of the game, understanding picking his spots and becoming that guy that we know and we all love. And I told God, I know we started to get a little worried a couple games ago, but I don't think there was ever any time to panic when you're as talented as he is and you're able to get to your spots the way that he does. It was just great to see him get back to himself.
And it definitely starts to seem, Booby, like he's regaining some of that health. And to me, that was going to be the most important thing, regardless of who the Cavs play, is just the health and the availability of Donovan Mitchell to be the Spider that we know. How confident are you? What percentage would you put Donovan Mitchell at right now? Obviously, again, we said last week, nobody right now in the NBA is at 100% healthy, but you got to be as close as possible.
Right. And I'm no doctor. You know what I'm saying? I'm no doctor. The doctor of love. Now, if you want to talk about that, I could give you a prognosis. But when it comes to Don, I think what I love most about what I saw was the fire. There was moments where he hit a shot or an and one or he got a bump, and I just saw that the screams and the yells and the energy in the game. And that's when I know that guys are locked in. So that told me right there, regardless of percentage, knowing all guys' bodies are banged up, seeing that emotion showed me he's engaged, and that's what I got most excited about watching that game.
Man, love to hear that. Love to hear that. All right, and I know another piece of what you just said right there. You said you don't care who we play. We're not scared of anybody. Who do you think the Cavs could match up best against, though, in the first round of the NBA playoffs? Because I think that's different.
Keep trying to finesse it in there, huh?
No,
You gonna keep trying to
because I think that's different, right? Than like who you want to play. But I think the Cavs, like me personally, I think the Cavs.
You got to tell me, Nick, because I can't like when I look at the makeup of our team. I shout out to Kobe, shout out to the front office. The way we've constructed the roster, I just don't feel. I feel like we could play any brand, right? I don't feel like there's a brand of basketball or a style that we're not capable of playing. We got the bigs, we got the guards, we got the shooters, we got the bruisers. Whatever you want to do, we ready for it. So I'm curious as to your take as to where you feel, unless you're speaking on like experience and guys ain't been around. What you thinking?
I'll give you my prediction when we return. Don't go anywhere. More Booby's World right after this. Welcome on back into Booby's World right here on the Big Play Network. Listen, if you listen to the show, you know, and if you have listened to the show, last year when we were doing the show, Booby was telling us that the Cavs weren't fearful of who they were going to play in the first round. And obviously they got the Knicks. That was a tough draw. The Cavs were inexperienced. And since then, they've gained a lot of experience. And they've gained a lot of guys in the offseason that have playoff experience and that are proven vets like Max Strus, like George Niang, that are going to play minutes in this rotation. So when we were talking last week on the show, I asked Booby, are you feeling differently about who you want the Cavs to play in round one? And he gave me that same familiar answer that he does not care. We don't live in fear because of the Cavs culture. I'll say this. I have a team that I want to see the Cavs play in round one just because I think it's a favorable matchup for them to get not only another playoff series under their feet, but another their first playoff victory in a series under their feet, and that's the Orlando Magic. I think they stack up really nicely against the Orlando Magic. I think the youthfulness of the Orlando Magic might be scary to some, but as we learned last year, that comes with inexperience. And Booby, me selfishly, as a guy that grew up in the early 2000s, I want to see this team rectify Hedo Turkoglu, Dwight Howard, and get their revenge for what I had to watch your Cavs go through when I was growing up.
That was going to be the only reason that I was going to say I would be perfectly fine with that, because there's still a sore spot in my chest. One of my good friends, one of the guys the first guy I ever told that I was going to make it to the NBA, Rashard Lewis, was on that Orlando Magic team. I knew Rashard. He's from Houston. I knew Rashard as a sixth grader in middle school. I took him outside. He was actually dating my sister at the time. I took him outside and I told him, look, me and you, if you want to date my sister, we got to go ones. You got to be able to at least beat me. And then we played, and he was like, damn, you actually all right. You ain't on my level, but you got something. And I told him right after he said that, oh, I'm going to see you in the NBA. Don't worry. I will see you. And so that's a quick little story about Rashard. But that Magic's team that took our opportunity to see Kobe in that finals that year, still a sore spot for me. So if I had to pick a team that I wanted to see us beat up on, I would pick the Orlando Magic. But again, I stand on my point. I do not care who the Cavaliers face in that first round. It's about what we bring to the table that's going to matter the most.
I like it. That's a great story. So you called your shot, and you said in sixth grade you called your shot that you were going to the league?
Sixth grade, Nick, sixth grade. He pulled up to the house, and he thought it was sweet. I mean, I was already 6 feet, 5'11". You know, I had a little handle, you know, and he was going to the league out of high school. And I'm like, oh, I'm trying to do that too. I'm trying to go to the league out of middle school. What's up? We're finna find out right now.
So it's funny, you knew you were going to the NBA in the 6th grade. It was about that same time that I knew that I wasn't going to the NBA. And that's when I started taking a pivot and looking at, some high school programs that might have some media classes or things of that sort, so I could still talk about the game and be a part of the game, but just the genetics didn't really work out the way that I thought it would.
I didn't know I was going Nick, but he just looked too confident in like taking my sister out. I had to figure out that was in basketball. I know I couldn't beat him up. Basketball is my only way to let him know like it ain't sweet over here.
That's so fun. Man, this East, though, when we're talking about this East, not being afraid of anybody, looking at potential matchups, I mean, it's a bloodbath right now. Like, the Cavs seriously could play Orlando round 1, and that'd be a fun series. They could also play Indiana. They could play New York. There's a bunch of different possible outcomes for this team right now. Did you ever have that where there was, like, a ton of uncertainty? Because the East right now is just crazy.
I start out by saying it's so much fun to watch.
Yeah.
So much fun to watch. Every game have value, every game have meaning, and really see these guys get out there every night and just compete for positioning and compete for a spot in the playoffs where I think everybody feels like they can win it, right? But when you think about what was the question up top though? What did you say?
Like just with the craziness of, because like
I got you.
Do you ever peek ahead?
My first thought that came to mind, Nick, playing with Bron, we just most of the time wasn't in that situation.
Yeah.
We never had it wasn't a lot of jockeying for us. And most time we 66 wins, 65 wins. That was the first thought. So I got wrapped up in thinking about the Eastern Conference parity because, I mean, we really didn't face it. But as a fan of basketball right now, I feel like it's so much fun to watch because I still say that I'm looking at the entire playoff situation and I can't pick a winner. I don't know who will be crowned. You want to say Denver, but I watched them play the other night and I wasn't, with Jamal Murray just coming back, I wasn't sold.
Yeah.
So I just feel like it's anybody's year to go get the championship.
Yeah, we'll talk about the Western Conference in just a moment. It's funny that you said that about your time in Cleveland with LeBron. You guys were always just atop the Eastern Conference, and it was really just looking at who would be the first round matchup because who's at the bottom, who's closer to that 8 seed in the Eastern Conference.
We didn't have play-ins at the time. We wasn't worried about 9-10.
Exactly. Shout out my dad, who's a big Cavs fan, a big Booby Gibson fan. He said he would say and still says that they should name the first round of the NBA playoffs the LeBron James Invitational because it was really just who was going to lose to LeBron James in the first round.
Bars, man. And I don't want to like not give credit to the teams that we had to beat.
Right, they were good. They were good regular season teams. Yeah.
They were good teams. I don't want to act like we were just out here running through everybody. When you think about those Atlanta Hawk teams, those Toronto teams, those Washington Wizards teams, like all of those teams were very formidable and probably would have been in the Eastern Conference Finals had they not ran into a LeBron James. But shout out to Pops because that's bars. That's truth. When he left, I didn't see the playoffs at all. When he was there, we was the number 1 seed in the East. So I got the best of both worlds for sure.
Absolutely. Let's take a look and talk about some of this stuff going on in the Western Conference. A lot of people just presumed that it was going to be the Denver Nuggets, to run through the West, own that Western Conference, and get back to the NBA Finals after a Western Conference championship similar to what they did last year. Maybe not the case, Booby. Things out there are starting to heat up as well.
Listen, man, the youngins are taking over the league right now, and they ain't playing no games. And the way Anthony Edwards has been able to still keep the Timberwolves up top without Karl Anthony Towns tells me they might be a little more scary than we think come playoffs with being the number 1 defense in the league. And I got a question for you, Nick. I'm curious who you think is the defensive player of the year, but I'm gonna let you think about that while we keep running through it. But the one team, my dark horse of the NBA playoffs is the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah.
I feel like with the trades they made at the deadline, my boy Kyrie, I feel like has entered his second prime. And I feel like with Luka, he playing at an NBA at an MVP level. That team right there is not a team I want to see in the playoffs. And lo and behold, it looks like they're gonna run into the Clippers, the Clippers again, which is gonna be a great series. But I just feel like if Dallas can get through that, I feel like the confidence that they'll have, we might be looking at a dark horse for a team that can make a run at the NBA Finals this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great pick. The Timberwolves right now are scary as well. And I guess
You don't want to play any of them teams at the bottom, though. You really
no, you
don't want to
don't.
be 1, 2, or 3. Honestly, you don't want to be that.
No, because down there you got the Warriors, you got the Lakers kind of playing for that
Suns.
play-in seeding. You got the Kings, the Suns down there at the bottom of the West
You
too.
don't want to be.
You don't want to
You
be
don't want
that.
to be the top seed in the West. No,
No.
sir.
All right. When we return on Booby's World, we're going Booby for 3. We will give you guys some of the top surprises of this NBA season. And maybe we foreshadowed some of those in this segment here, but we'll also give you some picks and predictions while I continue to think about Booby's question to me about who will win Defensive Player of the Year in the NBA this year. More of Booby's World right after this. Don't go anywhere. Biggest things, whatever. This time we're doing top 3 biggest surprises from this NBA season. Booby, there was a lot of surprises this NBA season, but we got to keep it to just 3. Shout out to our guy, Raf.
Right. Is it easier for us than some others? But what's up, Ralph? How we doing out there, man? Ralph's world.
Raf's been busy, man. I feel like Raf has completely just abandoned us in Booby's
I think
world.
so, man. I think he's enjoying that road. I think he went out there on the West Coast and
Yeah.
got some of that sun and just said, I ain't never coming back.
Yeah, between the Cavs road trip, the Final Four,
Right.
we might never see Raf again.
Listen, man, we gotta pay our respects, man, because the guy is big, booked, and busy. He stays on the road. He stay doing this thing, man. And shout out to the guy, man. Everybody loves Ross, man. We love him too. We would love to have him here as well, but he can only be in one place at a time for sure.
Pro's Pro is Rafa Hernandez Brito. All right, I want to steal one of yours for my first biggest surprise from this NBA season. And it's something that we talked about in the last segment. It's that Kyrie Irving has found a second prime and has worked out very well with Luka Doncic. Because remember, Booby, when they made that trade, the NBA streets were kind of chuckling a little bit that there was only one basketball to go around. How are Luka and Kyrie going to coexist? I don't know, man. Seems to me like old Uncle Drew found a way to make that work.
Listen, Nick. I think we can rewind the tape when I'm sure everybody was laughing at me when I put Kyrie as still one of the top 5 players in the league. Like, y'all not finna make me get off my spot when the guy is hitting left-hand runners for game. Guys out here dropping 48 like it's nothing. In the games, I'm watching Luka give Kai the ball and watch the show. You know what I mean? Even the other night, man, Kai fell and was at the other end of the court. Luka runs from the end of the bench, full speed, like, I got you, Kai. Yep. He understands. And a lot of people don't know that LeBron James don't go back to Cleveland without the young Kyrie Irving doing his thing. So, hey, Nick, you ain't got to ever tell me about Uncle Drew. And that ain't no bias, even though he was my rook coming in, the kid is unbelievable. He's the most unbelievable talent I've ever seen with a basketball in person. So I stand on that.
Yeah, and it'll be fun to see who they get for that first round matchup out there out West, because Kyrie come playoff time, that jersey gets a little bit untucked.
Man, untucked Kyrie is the legend. I don't think Hoodie Melo, I don't think any of them, none of them ain't seeing untucked Kyrie, man. None of them.
I agree with you. I'll give you another surprise here, Booby, and that's talking about guys that played in Cleveland, maybe played in Cleveland together. LeBron James, a surprise to some, not a surprise to me, just because of his longevity. And we talked about it last week on the show that LeBron has nothing left to prove to the game of basketball. He's the NBA's all-time leading scorer as a player that's not a score-first player.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I guess he has left to prove is just how crazy this run that he's on of longevity and still able to put up 40 on any and every given night. It's really cool to see.
Nick, man, I think at this point, man, this Booby's world, but we might have to put an asterisk, and give LeBron James his love. Because every time we step on the show, there's no way for me to talk about my basketball life or my basketball experience without giving my guys some love. And that's just how the game go. And for me coming in, and shout out to the new podcast, man. What is the
Yeah.
mindful games?
Yeah,
Mind
mind the
games?
game. Yeah.
Mind games. It's amazing because this is what I got to witness firsthand coming into the league and developing my understanding of basketball. This is what I got to sit right next to. My locker was right next to LeBron. So I was able to just soak up all of this game. So when I see him doing what he's doing now, it's not even mind-boggling to me. And it's not even that big of a surprise to me because coming into the league, the first thing we connected on was racing to the gym, was trying to be the first person. This is the best player in the world, and I'm trying to race and beat him to the gym. That told me everything I needed to know. And getting back to the Mind Games podcast, watching him talk about the chase down block.
Man, that was cool.
It was awesome because that's one of the first things he told me as a player. I'm sure we could find a bunch of moments in the game where I ran past a guy, fake swiped at the ball as if I was really trying to do something because I had just saw King James tracking him down. And I was basically, we used to call it the setup. We set them up every time. And so I need us to grab some of those clips, man, because he was spot on with telling guys, just don't foul because I'm going to go get that shit.
Yeah, that is super cool to hear. And people are saying now, Booby, that show, watching that podcast should count as like a college credit, like an elective. like you got class, you got to sit down and listen to LeBron and JJ Redick talk about basketball, because that's how it feels when you're listening to that show and watching that podcast. Is like, they're so, and JJ Redick is very good as well. They just understand the game on such a high level, but they're not like talking at you. They're dumbing it down to a point where the average fan that maybe only ever played some middle school ball, could really understand and appreciate. So they're doing a great job with that.
Man, great job, man. JJ knows the game. And that's the one thing I think a lot of people don't know about LeBron, man. He's a big kid at the end of the day. And so he having fun. I'm pretty sure he's enjoying the podcast, but I love that he ain't really giving him the full personality because there's more to it. But I just love that people really seeing that, there's a lot more, what I'm saying, to the king. He's a machine on the floor, but he's one of the best people I've ever come across.
Absolutely. All right, I'm giving you my last surprise for this season, Booby, and that's the Orlando Magic in the East and the Oklahoma City Thunder in the West. Finding a spot and staying in that spot throughout this whole season in the NBA playoffs, because when this thing started off early on in the season, you and me were talking about Orlando and OKC, and at the time it was so early, and let's see what happens after the All-Star break. But they both organizations have found a way to steady the ship and keep themselves relevant in the NBA playoff picture. I thought that was cool. I thought it was a surprise. Obviously, both teams have a bunch of young talent, and they're on the come up. It was maybe just a little bit sooner than expected for me, but really cool to see.
Right, man. I think that's big shout outs to both of their front offices as well, right? Because they built both of those things through the draft. And so there's always those moments, like you said, where you see a team doing well at the beginning of the year and you're like, they're going to fall off, or we don't believe you. You need more people. But these two teams, I think, are showing us that their young guys are now here to stay, right? Your Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, you can now put him in that group of the top point guards in the game. And I think Paolo is making a claim to let the people know, like, I'm a number one pick, and I'm going to be a guy that my team can depend on for years to come. So I think both of those young teams just kicked the door down and said, look, we here now. Y'all got to deal with us. And that's what you love to see, because there's going to be a changing of the guard. We're looking at the West, and those guys, all of our beloved superstars are hanging out at the bottom of the conferences. So there's going to be a change of the guard. So it's good to see these young teams now show up. And I want to see them do it in the playoffs too. Like, let us really know that y'all here to stay.
Alrighty, when we return on Booby's World, we're giving you guys some predictions. Who's winning MVP? Who's winning Defensive Player of the Year? Who should win those awards, but who will might be a different story. All that and more when we come back right here on Booby's World. Alrighty, welcome on back into Booby's World right here on the Big Play Network. Appreciate all you guys tuning in. Make sure to throw us a follow on all your favorite social media platforms at Booby's World. Make sure to download that Tipico show this week, and every week is presented to you guys by our friends at Tipico Sportsbook. Download Tipico with promo code Booby100, and when you're betting on Tipico throughout the last week of the NBA season, make sure to check out Tipico Cashback Rewards. The more you bet, the more you earn, the more you win. Get up to 5% cash back on Tipico when you guys are making these bets. And Booby, I think they might be a little tied in too with our watch party action. TBD. Don't want to give away too much yet, but we got some fun things in store, so you guys are going to want to make sure.
You know, when I think about the playoffs, man, and everybody out crossing the street, you know they go back to Game 6, but I just think about the playoffs overall, and it's just a great time of year for me. So got some big surprises for the fans, for us to be connected during this time. So stay tuned. You got to follow the Booby's World show on Instagram to be able to get all that information, and Tipico Sportsbook. You can get everything you need there.
Absolutely. Very well said. All right, let's give some predictions. Early in the show, you asked me who I think. What you ask me? Was it who do I want?
Nah, I was saying between obvious. I feel like it's coming down to two guys. It might be more for you, but I feel like the Frenchmen, they got the lead. I don't feel like you could really give it to anybody else, whether you're talking Wemby or you're talking Big Rudy. So I was just curious your take on Defensive Player of the Year and who you had who you were giving the edge to. Because I'll wait till you pick, because each decision has big impact.
Do you want who I think will win it or who I think should win it?
Who you think should?
I think Victor Wembanyama should.
My Booby's pick is going to be way different than the consensus MVPs and all that. I'm not rocking with that. We in Booby's World. We ain't on ESPN. This ain't Sports Center, baby. We in Booby's World. We can pick what you want, Nick.
I think Victor Wembanyama should and will eventually win a Defensive Player of the Year. It won't be this year. I think Wemby should be the Defensive Player of the Year this year.
You think they're going to give it to Rudy, huh?
I think they're going to give it to Rudy Gobert. I just think that, man, every time Wemby steps on the floor as a rookie, the presence that he makes himself feel around that basket as a shot blocker, but also has the mobility to pop out and defend guys on the wing, on the perimeter even.
That's what I'm saying.
I think he deserves it, but I mean, he's going to be
how many
hands
games
down Rookie of the Year, so I think they got to give it to Rudy.
No,
they're gonna. No. That's what's gonna happen.
All right, I'm with you. I'm with you on the NBA probably doing that. But I just look at it like, if we giving this kid all of this hype and this build up coming in, and he actually delivers, right?
Yes,
he actually delivers. Like the kid that we look at, hoping to be the future of the NBA, he actually has the potential to be that. So the fact that he's earned it, I mean, I don't know their stats. I might need a little help on who has the better stats, but I'm putting my money on Wembanyama, and I'm also putting my money on the fact that if he had any little bit of help on his team, the man might even be close in the MVP conversation. Yep. Is what I'm saying, is the potential and what this kid has been doing this year. And so, man, I hope that the NBA steps up and gives him not gives him that award because he's earned it, but takes that into consideration, man. That this is his first year playing against all of the best guys in the world, and he ain't backing down from nobody. He had the MVP of last year saying, maybe I should try to dunk it now, because otherwise he gonna block it. I think he finished that game with 7 or 9 blocks against Joker. So shout out to Wembanyama. I feel like that's my pick as Defensive Player of the Year.
League is in such great hands, Booby.
Great
I get that you could look at the standings and sure, they're 20-60 right now. Not the most attractive record. Kid is still very young. If he stays healthy, it's going to be special. When we return, we'll do some MVP picks right here on Booby's World. Don't go anywhere. Welcome on back into Booby's World right here on the Big Play Network. I'm Nick Padone. He is Daniel Booby Gibson. Last segment, we were talking Defensive Player of the Year. This segment, we're talking MVP. Booby, I want it first.
Oh.
The Booby's World pick for Most Valuable Player is blank.
Kyrie Irving. Nah, I ain't right. That's my pick. That's just my pick for just best player in the league. But I'm sticking with his team though. I'm gonna
Okay.
go with I'm gonna go with Luca. I'm gonna just ride with Luca. Obviously his team's still hovering in that same spot that they not at the top of the West or at the bottom. It's a very tough conference to play in, I will admit. But I just feel like just what he does for that team when you talk about just most valuable. I feel like if he's not there, we're not even mentioning the Dallas Mavericks at all. And just he does everything so quietly, man. Kind of like Joker, right? He gets out there and he 35, 12, and 13. It's just like a regular night for him. We don't even look at it and marvel anymore. We've come to expect it from the guy. So I'm gonna just go left field with my pick because I feel like they're gonna make a run this year at the NBA championship.
Yeah, and at this point, man, you gotta just give a left field prediction right now on Tipico. Nikola Jokic, the odds-on favorite.
I just can't keep picking Joker. I don't want to downplay his greatness. Joker, you the best doing it stat-wise, but I just gotta go a different route.
It's getting a little boring. I'll go a little bit of a different round too, and I'll give it to Jason Tatum. The Celtics are the #1 seed and have been. Far and away, leaps and bounds, the class
we don't give JT no love
of the Eastern Conference. And we don't talk about Jason Tatum ever. And I get that he's got a hell of a Robin in Jaylen Brown. And I think that's why Jason Tatum doesn't get that much love. But I think he deserves it at some point, especially when you look at the NBA and how much parity there is this regular season. This is a regular season award. Tatum has the Celtics in the driver's seat and has all year. He's my MVP this year, Booby.
I gotta rock with y'all on that one. I do for some reason. I don't know why. And I'm actually cool with his dad. That's crazy. I don't give my guy the love that he deserves because he's been killing it. And another guy that maybe because we don't talk about him and he's not creating headlines or controversy or anything like that we forget about him. But he definitely is a guy that deserves the praise and deserves just as much as anybody else on that board to be able to hold up that trophy at the end of the year.
Absolutely. He stays out of trouble. You know, I do think that's a piece of why we don't hear about him is he just kind of flies under the radar.
He just shows up, give you 45 and go home to his son and go hang out with Deuce.
Absolutely. All right, man. A couple minutes left on the show, Booby. I'm just so ready for the playoffs to get here. I know I said it before, like the rest of these games matter, you know, for positioning for the playoffs. But I just want to know who the Cavs are going to play. I want to look at these matchups. I'm just excited for all things playoffs. I don't want to rush away the NBA season ever. You know, you got to enjoy every game while it's here because that offseason is so long. And you know, but I just want the playoffs to get here.
Man, you just got to have a little patience, Nick. Have a little patience, man, because right now it's pretty much the playoffs have started. You know, we don't have the primetime music to tell you that it's 1-1, but right now, each one of these teams, every game they're playing matters for their playoff position. And to your point, who they play in the first round. And to some teams, it matters. To some teams, it matters if you're playing at home or not. So right now, it's a great time to watch basketball. Every game is a game, even if a team is playing against a team that's out of the playoffs. For that team that's in the playoffs, it matters. And I know from experience, those other teams, you like to be a dream killer. You want to be the reason that team got to go on the road in the playoffs and at least finish your season on a high note. So I'm loving it, man. I'm loving basketball right now. And I just couldn't be more excited about what's to come for this postseason, especially for our Cavs.
Well, keep it locked right here on Booby's World. Make sure you guys follow the show, like Booby said, on Instagram at Booby's World, on Twitter, on YouTube. We appreciate you guys for tuning in, as always, right here on the Big Play Network. If you're watching on Bally Sports, we appreciate you as well.
Yes, sir.
Stay tuned because we got some special things cooked for the NBA playoffs. That's all I'll say for now. For Daniel Booby Gibson, I'm Nick Padone. See